Hey, Becca. Hi, Anya. Hey, everybody. Hi. Hello. Hi, Shelly. Hi. Hi, guys. Long time no see. Hello. Hi. You guys excited to get back to reading? Do this thing? Morning, Dawn. Hello. Oh, whoa. Yeah, no, it's good. It just scared me. I didn't know it was going to happen. You're all smiles? Well, I'm glad it's making you all smiley. I've got the book ready to go. We'll give everybody a second to get in, and then we will do some reading. What are you reading? We're finishing Land of Stories book 2. We're a little more than halfway through it. It's me, Becca. It's me. It is me. Hello. Hi, hi, hi. Hello, hello. Hi, Renee. Hey. Renee, I'm going to go get that stuff in a couple hours, and I'll let you know how that goes, how everybody survived the trip. The mail, if you will. Thank you, Karen. I missed you guys, too. Hi, Alexis. Hey. I put my cup just on the... Oh, fancy boy shirt. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's good. My cup is just right on the counter, right by the fridge. What? Oh, yeah, we are reading. You love my slimes. Thank you so much. My child covered the floor in soap and just completely complained about slipping as I cleaned it. Oh, I'm so glad, Anya. I'm so glad. Oh, thank you for the new follow. So yeah, we're gonna read, and that's the whole shebang. Did anything interesting happen in my absence, you guys? Did I miss anything worth noting? Yay! Hi, Grace. How are you? Secret boyfriend is going to get us coffee because we don't have stuff to make coffee here because, you know, blah blah blah. Shelly says hi.
Hi. I'll be back in a minute.
Where are your gloves? Must ask on every video, apparently. Dude, Becca, you don't even know. While I was gone, YouTube went crazy, and they are fighting with each other about the glove situation. I would just let them have that fight. Not about us, right? I just gotta look for Secret Boyfriend like this. He goes... My brother decided unscented slime smells, but I don't know what it smells like. Some people think it smells a little bit like soap. I don't put soap in it, but I have heard that before, like unscented soap. Thank you. I don't know. That's why I said it. Yeah, you do know. Oh yeah, you do know. Oh yeah. They're having a day. All right. Well, let's do some reading, right? Because we haven't read in a while. Interesting. BMB. What's BMB? What's BMB? Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what's that? Obviously, like, this is how you know how much I trust Grace, because Grace said something and I just assumed it was a thing. I was like, oh, is that some, like, science thing? Oh, it is a thing. Oh, it is a thing. Okay, biochemistry and molecular biology. Ooh, crazy times. Thank you for the new follow. Are you going to do a restock on slime tonight? No, but I am going to do a slime live tonight. So your boyfriend and I are going back to my house tonight, and we will do possibly one of two things. We're at the very least going to make base for the next restock, but we might do a surprise, like, roll for slime sold live thing. So stay tuned for possibly that. I'll let you know, but at the very least, we're going to make slime tonight, one way or another. We're going back to hang out with Zoe. Obviously, I can't not see Zoe today because we just got back late last night. And I have birthday presents for her. Her birthday's tomorrow, but still, I'm not going to not see her today because how dare. Anyway, so we are on chapter 17, The Snow Queen. Let's do it. Oh, and by the way, where I went was definitely the Land of Stories. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. Baby nephew is so good, Kiki. Thank you for asking. He's so good, and he's growing wonderfully, and he's smiley, and he's so cute, and he doesn't look like a wrinkly old man, which we love. We love a baby that doesn't look like a wrinkly old man. You know, sometimes when babies are born, they look like wrinkly old men. He doesn't, so that's nice. I'm driving a rental car. It had music synced to the car, so now your voice is coming through the car. Oh, that's terrifying. The videos were magical. Did everybody see the video that I just posted and follow the instructions on it? I hope you did. It's magical. Anyway, let's read chapter 17. Let me get a sip of water first and then we'll do it. Okay. The granny sailed steadily through the night sky. They'd been flying for a few hours now, and the initial excitement had worn off and been replaced with anticipation for the journey ahead. They were flying somewhere above the northern kingdom, and the snowy northern mountains came into view on the horizon. The farther north they traveled, the colder it became. True, and also the less sunset. The twins were so thankful Red had given them fur coats to wear, despite whom the fur used to belong to. Froggy was still clutching the steering wheel. He looked like a little boy, too excited to let it go. Red leaned on the banister facing west. She kept looking over her shoulder as if to ask someone a question. "Are you all right, my love?" Froggy asked her. "Oh, yes, darling, I'll be fine," Red said. "I keep thinking of things for my handmaidens to do for me, and then I forget she's not here. I forgot what it was like to go without help." Jack and Goldilocks were seated near the front of the ship. Goldilocks sharpened her sword, and Jack sharpened his axe as the twins joined them. "So what can you tell us about the Snow Queen?" Connor said on a scale. Oh, why did Connor all of a sudden become a surfer? Hey, Liz! On a scale of kitten to tiger, what danger are we talking? "Well, it's hard to say," Jack said. "The Snow Queen has been out of the public eye for so long, so no one has seen her in decades." "Hi, Liz." "Really?" Alex asked, always eager for a good story. "I'm not very familiar with her." Jack went into full-throttle storytelling mode, dramatically retelling the events that had made the Snow Queen a household name. Many years ago, the Snow Queen was just a weathered witch from deep in the mountains. She befriended the king of the Northern Kingdom by granting him wishes and gained his trust by giving him prophecies about the kingdom. The king made her his royal advisor, but she was evil and secretly plotted to take over the kingdom for herself. Eventually, she overthrew the king and imprisoned the entire kingdom in an everlasting winter. You just woke up? That's amazing. We also kind of just woke up, kind of not. We've kind of been up since 5, which sucks. And Secret Boyfriend's already showered and out going and getting coffee, which makes me feel like a bump on a log. But he was like, "It's okay, just chill, read your book." I was like, spoiled. All the trees and plants and most of the animals and some of the people died, not able to survive the cold, Jack said. "So what happened?" Connor asked. "Well, wise Prince White, Snow White's grandfather, rallied up an army to overthrow the Snow Queen," Jack said. "They took back their kingdom and banished the evil Snow Queen to live the rest of her days deep in the northern mountains." You were also up at 5? Oof, Renee, I'm sorry. Why? We were jet lagged. That's why we were up. I don't know why you were up. "Well, whatever became of her?" Alex asked. "Some people say she started an army of snowmen and is waiting for the right time to unleash them. Others say she was so distraught after losing the kingdom that she cried until her eyes froze and then they melted away. Nothing is certain because no one ever saw her again, but her icy wrath still sends chills down people's spine whenever her name is mentioned," Jack said. "Gotta go deal with errands and get a tire replaced. That sounds awful. See you later, Shelly." Oh, Renee, I'm sorry about that. "So how do people know she's alive?" Alex asked. "Oh, she's alive. Believe me," Goldilocks said. "The Snow Queen sends vengeful blizzards through the kingdom when she's feeling particularly angry, just to let people know that she's still around." Oh my God, hey Liz. He just ran out to get coffee. You can tell him hi in just a second when he gets back. We didn't have any coffee making stuff, and so he didn't want to drink black coffee because, let me tell you, before he gets back, Boy used to drink black coffee, but I have made him bougie about coffee, and he was like, "I don't really want to have it black, or maybe I should just go get stuff." I was like, "You don't have to. We can just wait till we go get breakfast." And he was like, "No, I'm gonna go get stuff." He doesn't talk like that. I don't know why I said like that, but that's not what he sounds like at all. But that is the conversation. He's bougie now. Yeah. He used to just like drink swill. It was awful. And now he's like, maybe good coffee. Anyway, that is the truth. The coffee that he drinks. Oh God. Bar sauce. I never sound like the person I'm imitating. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I sound like the person I'm imitating. Not always, though. I feel like I sound like Zoe when I'm imitating her. Too big. Wait, do you guys know, have I told you guys the story of how the two whatever thing came to be. Did I tell you guys about that? I don't remember if I told you why we say that now. Okay, so we're at the park with Zoe like the weekend before we were leaving for this trip, and Zoe wanted to play of course you knew who it was from, yeah. But she wanted to play dinosaurs, and so she said Sasha Dinosaur. And when she says Sasha Dinosaur, what she means is I have to act like a dinosaur and run after her at the park. It's okay, Sasha Dinosaur. And then Zoe Dinosaur. And Zoe Dinosaur means she acts like a dinosaur and runs after me at the park. Sasha Dinosaur, Zoe Dinosaur, Sasha Dinosaur, Zoe Dinosaur, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth like that. And it's so cute. She just wants to be chased or whatever. So then Secret Boyfriend, who Zoe is absolutely in love with, so this is not off, like, it's not weird that he wanted to do this. He pretended to be a dinosaur and chased after her. And she turned, stopped, and looked him dead in the eyes. And she said his name in the funny way that she says it because she doesn't pronounce it right. And she said, "No, Secret Boyfriend Dinosaur, too big." And we were in hysterics laughing because she was so serious about it. She's too big. It was so funny because he's so tall, you know, and we're all just like little. Oh man, it cracked us up, and we couldn't. So now all we say is just too big. Oh, it killed me. We were like, so my friend Kurt, who you all know, was walking with my sister and the baby, and they were a little behind us, so they didn't even hear it happen. Only Secret Boyfriend and I even heard it happen, but it was so funny. So funny. Too intimidating, Secret Boyfriend. He was too big. No, Secret Boyfriend Dinosaur, too big. Oh man, it cracked us up. We rolled in the grass laughing. We were laughing so hard. We just couldn't stop. And it just lasted through the whole trip. You're going to slip up eventually? Probably. Well, especially because she pronounces his name so cutely. She says the middle of his name wrong because she can't pronounce the letter yet. But it's very cute. Very, very cute. No, I'll be making slime tonight, Alyssa. This is book club, but I will make slime tonight. Anyway, that's where the 2 thing came from. Alex and Connor gulped at the same time. And this scepter of hers that we need, Connor said, I'm just guessing that we're going to have to steal it, right? She's not just going to, hand it over willingly. In response, Jack and Goldilocks simply continued to sharpen their weapons. Speaking of cold, Goldilocks said and gestured to Red, who had been staring at the 4 of them for some time. Red turned away quickly, embarrassed to be caught. How much have I missed because of this morning? Not much. We've barely just been chit-chatting and read 3 pages, Haley, so you're good, actually. You're totally fine. They're just starting the journey on the balloon, and they were learning about what's going on. Thank you, Raven, with the Snow Queen, because that's where they're headed. Hi, Abby. A week ago, Red had been certain she was in love with Froggy, but as soon as Jack returned to her life, all the old feelings she had for him started to return as well. She tried to fight them off, telling herself that it was just her mind playing tricks on her heart. But tonight, as she watched him tell the twins about the Snow Queen, she couldn't deny the feelings that had resurfaced. What? Poor Froggy. Oh my God, Red. Poor Froggy. Froggy, despite his current state, was perfect for her, and everyone she knew agreed. She loved him with all of her heart, but wasn't that how she felt about Jack too? Could she be in love with 2 people at once, or worse, could she be in love with one of them and just in denial about how she felt toward the others? But which was which? What would it take for her to be certain? All the thinking gave Red a headache. It looks like things are about to get bumpy for us, Froggy said to Red. Excuse me? Red asked in shock, terrified that he could read her mind. Froggy cleared his throat to get Jack's and Goldilocks' attention. I don't mean to put a damper on the night, but I believe we may be headed to a certain death unless we do something about it. Everyone's head shot to the front of the ship. The Granny was headed straight into sharp and snowy peaks of the northern mountains, and unless they gained a little altitude quickly, they were going to crash. Red sighed to herself, relieved that Froggy hadn't been referring to her thoughts, but her relief turned to a series of screams as she realized what was happening. Jack leapt up and pulled on the lever of the flames. The flame grew and the granny rose, but not high enough. The mountain peaks were getting closer, certain to rip a hole right through the ship. Jack pulled on the lever as hard as he could, but the flame was as big as it was going to get. The granny wasn't getting any higher. "Oh no," Alex said. "What are we going to do?" Connor asked. Goldilocks looked around the deck. She ran over to the trunks and chests that Red had insisted on bringing and sliced through the ropes that held them down with her sword. One by one, Goldilocks began chucking the chests and trunks overboard. "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" Red said. She ran over to her beloved items and threw herself on top of them. "Don't tempt me to throw you overboard too," Goldilocks said. "These are my things. You can't just toss them overboard. I need them." "Happy birthday, Brandon. Hello, birthday boy. How are you? We love you so much. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. We love you so much. And if I didn't consider it a mean thing to do, I would sing the happy birthday song to you. But I hate when people sing that to me, so I wouldn't do that to you. But we love you so much. So much. Happy birthday. I'm so thrilled you're here, sweetheart. We love ya. Red, you need to listen to me, Goldilocks said, looking her directly in the eye. You've got too much baggage. You need to let it go or we'll crash. Red froze. Had Goldilocks heard her thoughts moments before? Has she been thinking aloud and not realized it? Red, we can't go on with all of this weighing us down. Do you understand? Goldilocks pleaded with her. I have to let go, Red said to herself. I have to let go. She looked up at Jack and then down to the chest, back at Jack, and then slowly let the chest slip out of her grasp and fall to the earth below. She watched it fall until she couldn't see it anymore. Goldilocks wasted no time. She eagerly, almost too eagerly. It's your birthday, shouldn't it be rounded off? And 10.6, fair enough. He should be 100 today. I love how excited Sasha is to see us. I do get excited to see all of you. Of course I do. I missed you guys. If the time difference hadn't been so much, I would have tried to read while we were there. It was the perfect setting for the book, but the time difference was just too wild. It was so crazy. Also, sun freaking never sets over there, you guys. It's freaking wild. It was not conducive to getting good sleep, I'll tell you that much. Not conducive. Goldilocks wasted no time. She eagerly, almost too eagerly, began hoisting all of Red's trunks and chests over the side of the ship. Jack and the twins joined her. The more they tossed overboard, the higher the granny rose. Almost, Froggy said. His green hands were almost white from clutching the steering wheel. He was doing his best to navigate the granny around the sharp peaks, but there was still one more to fly over, and it was exceptionally high. There was only one more trunk to get rid of. It took Jack, Goldilocks, and the twins all their strength to push it up and over the side of the ship. They flung it over just in time, and the granny glided over the mountain peak, inches away from its jagged edge. Jack, Goldilocks, and the twins fell to the deck floor. Their hearts were pounding, and they were breathing heavily. Red was leaning on the banister, her eyes fixed on the ground, trying to see where her things had landed, but they were just too high up for her to tell. I need to let go, Red quietly sniffled to herself. I need to let go. After a few moments, the four caught their breath and got to their feet. Red was devastated and wiped away tiny tears that had formed in the corners of her eyes. I'm so sorry that we had to throw all your clothes overboard, Alex said. Clothes? Red said. Oh, no. Those weren't my clothes. Those were just my hats and jewelry. All my clothes are packed in the trunks downstairs. Everyone glared at her as if she were responsible for everything wrong in this world. Does this ship have a plank? Goldilocks asked. She jumped towards Red, and Jack and the twins had to hold her back. My dear, for your safety, I think it's best if you go to bed, Froggy told Red. She didn't argue. She climbed down the steps towards the lower deck. The granny bobbed gracefully above the rocky northern mountains. The sun had risen hours ago, but no one could tell through the thick and cloudy sky. The ground around looked menacingly below. There were no trees or villages, only snow. The twins couldn't imagine anything living this far north, anything except a snow queen. The wind suddenly picked up, and the ship rocked harder than it ever had. The cold had become almost unbearable, and the twins wrapped their coats even tighter around themselves. "We're getting closer," Jack said. "Look!" He pointed to the dark sky in the distance. Bright northern lights circled into a vortex above the particularly jagged cluster of mountain peaks. "We found her! She should just be under those lights," Goldilocks said. "I think it's time for coffee!" Hi! What'd you get? Oh, delightful.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy coffee time. Yay, special delivery. Thank you.
Oh.
Yummy. Ah, delightful. I somehow got up on a pillow or something. Wait, my door makes the same noise when it opens. Oh yeah, you have one of those little locks too? Charlie, let's put the granny down gently over there, Jack said, and gestured towards a large snow bed that they were approaching. Froggy nodded and steered the ship in its direction. Jack lowered the lever by the flame, and the ship descended, settling into the snowy ground. Red poked her head up from the lower deck. Oh, you know what I was thinking? We should probably put the fudge in the fridge until we take it to them, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Just because, like, when we don't have the AC on here, it'll probably get gunky.
All good.
Where was I? "Are we here?" Red said with a big yawn, just waking up from a nap. "We'll travel the rest by foot," Jack said. "A large ship hovering over her lair may cause some attention." Goldilocks opened the trunk that she had brought onto the ship. She and Jack began tugging away with as many weapons as possible. Daggers in their boots, knives in their belts, rope around their waists. They both took a lantern and handed one to the twins. "Are you two sure you're ready for this?" Jack asked. He was very businesslike, but the twins could sense a paternal hesitation in his voice. Alex and Connor took a deep breath and nodded. "Yeah, we're ready," they said in unison. "I don't think I packed any snow heels. I may have to sit this one out," Red said. "Great," Jack said. It was the best news he'd heard all day. "Charlie, you should stay with the ship. If we're not back in a day, come looking for us." "Yes, sir," Froggy said. Jack looked at Goldilocks and the twins. "All right," he said. "Follow me." They climbed off the ship and headed in the direction of the northern lights. It was hard for Alex and Connor to keep up. Yeah, no, you're fine. They can't see past here. Partially because the snow was hard to walk in, and partially because they weren't used to trekking through the wilderness like Jack and Goldilocks were. As they continued far north, the wind became stronger and stronger. It almost knocked them down, and the sounds were piercing like screaming, and the Snow Queen screaming. The Snow Queen. Can't stay, but I wanted to say hi and welcome back. We missed you. Oh, I missed you too. Oh, Liz says hi.
Oh, hey, Liz.
She tried to say hi earlier, but you were gone, so I told her she could say hi when you got back, obviously. Oh, this is so good. What a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Way better than black coffee.
Way better. After a long while of traveling by foot, the twins looked up and saw the northern lights circling directly above them. Jack led them into a small opening between two enormous glaciers. The harsh winds were blocked, and it was like walking in a narrow hallway without a ceiling. "I think it's this way," Jack said to his 3 followers. They traveled between glaciers. Did I already read this? Am I dumb? No. They traveled between glaciers farther into the northern mountains of the Snow Queen's lair. The opening between the glaciers zigzagged through the mountains like an icy labyrinth. The twisting and turning every few feet made Alex and Connor not be able to tell which direction they were walking in anymore. They were afraid that they would get lost, but they saw Goldilocks scraping the glacier wall with a dagger as they traveled, marking their way back out. They started to hear voices echo through the glacier maze. Jack gestured for them to be as quiet as possible as they walked farther. The group found themselves entering a large crater I'm stuck. There we go. In the middle of the mountains. Wait, what did I miss? Why are we laughing? Oh, all right, Becca. That's very funny. They can't see you, but Becca made a joke and she said, "We can see you. We're always watching Wazowski from Monsters Inc." But they can't see you, don't worry.
I know.
A frozen river circled the bottom like a snowy floor, and frozen waterfalls spilled inside from the mountain above. There were several pillars of ice surrounding the frozen river. Everything was so white that it was hard to make out what they were seeing at first, but as her eyes began to focus, Alex had to stifle a scream. At the base of the frozen waterfall, the ice flowed into a gigantic chair on which the Snow Queen herself was sitting.
What?
They were on the edge of an icy throne. Upon seeing her, Jack and Goldilocks dove behind one of the ice pillars, and the twins hid behind another. The Snow Queen was a tall woman with a large white fur coat and a crown of snowflakes and cloth wrapped around her eyes. Her skin was so pale and frostbitten that it was practically blue. She had a very strong jaw and tiny, jagged teeth. She clutched a long icicle scepter in one hand, and her other hand was being stroked by something enormous and fluffy kneeling before her. It was a polar bear. He blended in so well with the rest of the crater that the twins had barely noticed him. "Bear!" Goldilocks gasped. It was the first time the twins had ever seen her afraid of anything. "You're afraid of bears?" Alex whispered to her. Goldilocks nodded, but her eyes never left the polar bear. Ever since I was a girl and went inside the three bears' house by mistake," she said. The polar bear gently caressed the Snow Queen's hand, a faithful and obedient servant. "How many people are there outside?" the Snow Queen asked him hoarsely. One of the rumors Jack had told the twins was true. She was definitely blind. "Thousands and thousands have come today, Your Majesty," the polar bear said in a deep and growly voice. "What have they come for?" the Snow Queen asked. "They've come to bow and grovel at your feet and witness your beauty," the polar bear said. A snide smile came to the Snow Queen's face, and a slow rattling laugh came from deep inside her. "Do I still control all the neighboring kingdoms?" the Snow Queen asked. "All of them, Your Majesty," the bear said. "The whole world is covered in your snowy wrath, just as it was before." The Snow Queen's smile grew wider. "What gifts does my army have for me today?" she asked. "I'll call them for you, Your Majesty," he said. The polar bear let out a booming growl. A few moments later, another polar bear appeared. He carried 2 long poles with several pairs of boots tied to them. He raised the poles and lowered them to the ground as he walked, giving the Snow Queen the illusion that dozens of soldiers were marching into a crater. "My faithful army has returned," the pleased Snow Queen said. "What have you brought me this time?" "Jewels, my queen," the second polar bear said. He set the poles aside and carefully dropped a handful of average rocks into her hands. "Rubies, diamonds, and sapphires, all Your Majesty's favorites." The Snow Queen gasped. "These are the biggest jewels I have ever held," she said. "You've made your queen very proud." The polar bears looked at each other, relieved to have pulled off another hoax. The second polar bear retrieved the poles and walked off behind the waterfall, marching the boots along with him. "Everything she believes is a lie," Connor whispered to his sister. "I wonder how long those polar bears have been fooling her for," Alex whispered back. "Psst," Jack said, getting the twins' attention. "I'm going to distract the bear. 3 of you get the scepter." They all nodded. Jack picked up a chunk of ice and threw it to the other side of the crater's rim. The polar bear jerked his head toward the sound. He scowled, waiting for it to happen again, and then looked back at the Snow Queen when it didn't. Jack threw an even bigger chunk of ice in the same direction. The polar bear looked toward it and sniffed the air. He let out a low growl and bared his teeth. He knew they had company. "What is it?" the Snow Queen asked. "Nothing, Your Majesty," the polar bear said. "Please, excuse me for a moment." The polar bear walked off to inspect the sound and disappeared from view behind the pillars on the other side of the crater. "I'm going to keep busy," Jack mouthed to Goldilocks and the twins, and they followed behind the bear. The Snow Queen was all alone. Now was their chance. "I say we just go over there and tackle her," Connor suggested. "No, I'm going to try to steal it on my own first,"
Goldilocks said. Stay here and keep a lookout. Whistle if you need anything. Goldilocks carefully stepped onto the frozen lake and made her way to the Snow Queen's throne. As one would expect from a master thief, she was very agile, barely making a sound. Goldilocks was halfway there. The twins crossed their fingers and watched her so intently that they forgot to keep an eye on the rest of the crater. Just when she was a few feet away from the Snow Queen, a small piece of ice crunched loudly under her foot. Who's there? The Snow Queen yelled and raised her scepter. Suddenly, the polar bear reappeared from behind the pillars and charged towards Goldilocks. With one swipe of his paw, he knocked Goldilocks to the ground, and she slid to the center of the frozen lake. Goldilocks! Jack screamed, emerging from behind the pillars himself. He raced towards the polar bear with his axe raised high. The Snow Queen heard him and pointed her scepter directly at him. A bright, icy blast erupted from its tip and hit Jack. He flew across the crater and crashed into a pillar. He scrambled to his feet, but was hit again by another blast of ice from the Snow Queen. This time, a sheet of thick ice pinned him and pinned his hands and chest to the pillar behind him. Jack struggled with all his might, but he was stuck. Although she was blind, the Snow Queen apparently had impeccable hearing. Who dares disturb my palace? The Snow Queen demanded. Goldilocks was hyperventilating on the ground, terrified of the polar bear before her. The Snow Queen glided towards her. Leave her alone, Jack yelled from across the crater, desperately struggling to free himself. The Snow Queen raised her scepter and in Goldilocks' direction, but just then, a giant snowball came out of nowhere and hit the Snow Queen square in the face. Hey, abominable snow woman, over here, Connor yelled at her. The Snow Queen let out a furious moan, and the twins could see her breath in the cold air. The polar bear roared and lunged towards them, but the Snow Queen stopped him. No, you stay here, she ordered. I want to kill them myself. The twins didn't waste a beat and took off running. The Snow Queen went after them, following the sounds of their footsteps. They ran behind the frozen waterfall and found themselves entering a large cavern. The polar bear slowly walked towards Goldilocks. His sharp teeth were exposed and drool was dripping from his salivating mouth. No one disturbs the Snow Queen and lives to see another day, the polar bear growled. Goldie, get up, Jack yelled. You have to get up. I can't, she whimpered, sliding away from the approaching bear as fast as she could. What's the matter? The polar bear asked her. Am I too close for comfort? Actually, Goldilocks said, you're exactly where I want you. Goldilocks retrieved her sword and hit the frozen lake as hard as she could. A large crack bolted across the lake straight to the polar bear. The ice under his feet caved, and the polar bear fell straight through the freezing water. That's my girl, Jack hollered proudly. Woohoo! Goldilocks got to her feet and caught her breath. It was very rare for her heart to be racing this fast. She carefully looked down at the hole in the ice, waiting for the polar bear to resurface, but the water refroze before he had the chance. Goldilocks ran over to Jack. She reached into her boot and found a few matches and struck them against her belt. She held the small flames against the ice, trapping him. We have to hurry, Goldilocks said. The twins are in trouble. Alex and Connor ran through the cavern with the ice Snow Queen hot on their trail. They were barely avoiding the icy blast that she was sending towards them. Come back here, she demanded. The cavern was full of enormous icicles protruding from both the ceiling and the floor, as if the twins had discovered the mountain's teeth. There was very little light, but the ice was extremely reflective. The twins could see themselves in everywhere they looked. As if the situation couldn't get worse, the twins ran smack into the second polar bear. He was standing at a long ice table, sorting through a collection of props, pots, pans, belts, whistles, pieces of metal, and blocks of wood, everything the bears needed to keep the Snow Queen's ears believing the charade. The polar bear sneered down at the twins, and they bolted in the opposite direction. How dare you intrude upon my palace? The Snow Queen screamed, icy blasts of icicles piercing places near the twins. You're not in a palace. The bears have been lying to you, Alex shouted back at her. You live in the mountains. You haven't conquered anything, Connor added. They're liars, my queen, the polar bear proclaimed. We would never do something like that to you. To your left, my queen. The Snow Queen pointed her scepter to the left, and an icy beam hit the icicle directly to the twins' left. Thankfully, the polar bear had been mistaking their reflection for the real twins. To your right, my queen, the polar bear shouted, acting as her eyes. The Snow Queen blasted away the icicles directly to the twins' right, missing them by inches. Connor, I hate to say this, but I think it might be smart to split up, Connor said, finishing his sister's sentence. They separated and ran in different directions. It looked like there were dozens of Alex's and Connor's running through the cavern now. Ahead of you, my queen, the polar bear shouted. The Snow Queen followed his instructions and fired icy blasts in every direction before he told her, to your right, behind you, to your left, to your front, behind you again, to your side, the polar bear instructed. Alex and Connor were running in circles around them. The Snow Queen was going to blast the entire cavern away if she wasn't careful. Now to your side. Turn around. One is right behind you. He's getting away. Quickly, turn to your left, the polar bear yelled. The Snow Queen shot a strong blast to her left, and the cavern went silent. Well, the Snow Queen grunted, where are they? Alex and Connor looked back. The polar bear was frozen in a block of ice. Her attempt to shoot them, the Snow Queen had hit them. The Snow Queen grew frustrated and yelled so loudly that the entire cavern started to shake. The cavern rumbled, and the twins looked up to see a massive avalanche rolling straight towards them. Connor dived behind an icicle. Alex hit the ice table. The avalanche swept through the cavern and engulfed the Snow Queen. She screamed as it crashed into her. The wave of snow settled, and the cavern was dead silent. Alex peeked her head up from the table. The Snow Queen was lying on the ground, covered in a mound of snow. Her crown had been knocked off, and her scepter was lying nearby. Alex cautiously walked to her. Was she dead? Could she hear her approaching? Alex leaned down and picked up the scepter. Just as her hands wrapped around it, the Snow Queen grabbed onto Alex's forearm and pulled her in close. The cloth slid off her eyes, and Alex was staring into two bright lights instead of eyes. Of the 4 travelers, one will not return, the Snow Queen rasped. The lights faded into nothing but empty eye sockets. The Snow Queen's hands around Alex went limp, and she fell unconscious. Alex didn't understand what had just happened. Had the Snow Queen just given her a prophecy? You got it, Connor said excitedly and ran up to his sister. He was covered in snow but was jumping for joy. Yeah, I did, Alex said, still unsure of how to process what the Snow Queen had just told her. Jack and Goldilocks charged into the cavern. They were so relieved to see the twins. They took one look at the frozen polar bear and the trapped Snow Queen and laughed. Jack playfully nudged Goldilocks. And you were worried that they were in danger, he said. Jack, look out, Connor yelled. Jack ducked just in time to be missed by a slash of a claw. The other polar bear had managed to get out of the frozen lake and appeared behind them. He was soaked and furious. He leapt towards Jack and Goldilocks, ready to tear them apart. Alex pointed the scepter at the bear, and an icy beam hit him in the chest. He froze in mid-air and hit the ground, trapped in ice. Well, I'm ready for this snow day to be over, Connor said. Let's get out of here before the bears thaw out, Goldilocks said. The group found the opening in the glaciers that they had entered through and followed the marks that Goldilocks left back to the harsh winds. They traveled south until they found the granny right where they had left it. You're back! You're back! Froggy said, and literally leapt for joy as they climbed aboard the ship. Well, how did it go? Did you get the scepter? Alex showed him the Queen's scepter. Boy, do we have a story for you, she said. But before Alex could even start, Red emerged from the lower deck. Oh, good. You're back. You won't believe what happened to me while you were all gone, she said. We won't believe what happened to you? Connor asked her, wondering what could top defeating polar bears and the Snow Queen. Red was cradling something in her arms like a baby. As she neared the others, they could see that it was furry and had 4 paws. I got a puppy, Red said, happily showed them a small dog sleeping in her arms. Where did you get a puppy? Alex asked. I grew a little impatient waiting for you to return. Oh, I see you got the scepter. Well done. Anyway, I went for a walk to pass the time, and I found this little guy wandering around the snow alone. He was helpless and starving and adorable, so I decided to adopt him, Red explained. No one knew what to say. Anything that they could have said about retrieving the scepter wouldn't have been nearly as interesting as the pup in her arms. Did you name him? Connor asked. I named him Claudius, Red informed them. I named him after one of the characters from my favorite shaky fruit, the hamhead. Froggy hit his forehead with his open head. Hamlet, my dear. It's Hamlet. he corrected her. Yeah, that's the one, she said, but I'm going to spell it with a W. Wouldn't that be defined Claudius, like claw with a W? Do you get it? Yes. Froggy, everyone nodded along with her like she was a 3-year-old child, except for Goldilocks. She was staring daggers at Red. You probably don't get it, Red said, and explained to her further. If I spell it with a W, the word claw will be in his name, like an animal claw. Do you get it now? Say it with me, Goldie. Claudius. Goldilocks looked down at the small dog and then back up at Red with a smile. He's very cute. Congratulations. The others did a double take. They'd never seen Goldilocks collect herself so effortlessly before. Thank you, Red said. She climbed the steps back down to the lower deck, rocking her new pet as she went. Oh my, what a little cutie paws you have, Claudius. Oh my, what a precious little eyes you have. Oh my, what pointy little ears you have. Goldilocks began unloading all her weapons, chuckling as she did. That was really big of you, Connor said to her. What's so amusing? Jack asked. Red is in for a rude awakening, Goldilocks said. Oh dear, Froggy said. Why's that? A sly smile came to Goldilocks' face. I'd recognize one of those anywhere. That's not a puppy. That's a wolf cub. Dun dun dun! I like it. I like it a lot. It's pretty good. Oh my goodness. That was good. That was a scary chapter, but it was good. Okay, I know that a couple of people said they wanted to hear things, so I figured before we go, oh hey, how are you? If anybody has any Land of Stories, and by Land of Stories I mean the real Land of Stories questions. We have a few minutes before I have to hop in the shower. Do you have any questions about the hey Sal, the real Land of Stories? Mm-hmm. It really was, right? It was like the Land of Stories. It was like being in a fairy tale land.
It was. Yeah.
It's just in the high 90s, about an hour and a half from here. Very unusual. Ooh. Aren't you down in San Diego? Are you poking me? No, that wasn't you poking me. Who was it then? It's scary. If it's not you, who is it? I showed Deborah videos and she thinks she wants to go. Good. Wait, really? That's amazing, Becca. Oh, you're still in Monterey. Oh, well, that's even weirder. Well, I'm glad, as soon as all of your 18,000 children are old enough, you can go. It's too many kids.
Too many kids.
While you were gone, I told them how the two came to be. Oh, yeah. It sounds funnier when you say two big secret boyfriend instead of your name. It sounds way funnier. I think I replaced your name with the story, and I was like, I don't think Zoe knew what that means, but it was funny. You poked Sasha's. Oh, you poked me. Oh, I see. It was you. Oh, that's a very long hand. Poke. Right. Central Cali should not be in the 90s. Yeah. So I'm going to go shower and we're going to go eat breakfast. But Becca, tell me. Well, I promise I will, Anya. I will tell all of you guys everything about it. I'm going to have like a slime live tonight and I can talk more about your Saturn. That's a cool name. If you guys want to know anything specific about it, you can ask. But if not, we still have like a ton more videos to post from it. But what was I going to say? I don't remember. I had something that I was going to tell you guys and now I can't remember. Maybe that's a sign that I need a shower and food. Probably. But we are going to go see Zoe. We have birthday presents. All right. There will be a slime live later and all sorts of fun. No roll for slime videos. I'm ready for skating. Oh yeah, no. I will edit a roll for slime video for today. Don't worry. Oh, your roll for slime video. Oh, should I do Becca's roll for slime video today? Should I go out of order and do yours instead? That would be kind of fun. Yours was really funny, Becca. Doing your roll for slime was really funny. It was quite funny. Yeah. Never mind. I won't tell you. No spoilers. No spoilers, Becca. Can we what? Wait, can we what? Oh, do Becca's? Sure. I can do that. That's not a problem. I'll just let Becca skip the line. No one will know the difference. Yes. You can see Becca's. Yes. I'll do that for you guys. No worries. All right. I will see you guys later because, stuff and things. Bye, guys. Happy birthday.